Hey gang, Saturday morning, and I am spending my Saturday morning the way I do a lot of Saturday mornings, reading some comic books. I used to like Saturday morning cartoons, but now they're nothing more than 25-minute toy commercials or 25-minute product commercials. Not to say that they weren't that to some extent when I was a kid, but we knew how to make our toys then, so we would just make toys based on that. Anyway, Old Man Logan, reading it right now. I keep meaning to just read a little bit, but I read a lot of it. Ugh. So once I get up and get shaved and proper, I would like to wish a very happy birthday to a very, very important and special person in my life. You'll have to wait till the edit to find out who that is. Gang, I'm down at the foundry right now, about to crack my little guy out of the invested mold, and I just wanted to take a moment to say a very happy birthday to Lolita Keller. That's right, one of my very favorite special people in the whole world, Lolita Keller, mother of my bestie Andrew Keller. I used to come over to their house all the time when I was young, and then when they moved to Arizona and we moved to Florida, I moved in. They took me in for my senior year of high school. One of the things that always stands out, besides her extreme love of cats, which I think has rubbed off on me to a great extent, wouldn't you say? Is the birthday dinners. Oh man. That lady can cook like nobody's business. And I can remember, even before I lived with him, when I was just a family friend, I believe, in Louisiana, it was my birthday one time, and she made me a special birthday dinner, and I always had the same thing, because it was so delicious, and I've never had it better anywhere else, was teriyaki chicken. I can still taste it now. So delicious. And here's another thing about Lolita Keller. When I first met Andy and his family, it was my notion that when you're a kid, you read sci-fi and all that and fantasy books, and when you grow up, you read like adult books, whatever those are. And I remember coming over for the weekend, walking in, and she's reading some type of sci-fi book, big thick sucker, because back then it took me like 3 months to read a book. So I walk in, she's reading one. We go out and play, we do our thing. And then when I'm getting ready to head home, she's got an entirely different book in her hand. And I was like, oh, didn't you like that other one? She's like, yeah, it was great. I'm like, oh, you finished it? She's like, oh yeah, I'm reading this one now. So I thought that was impressive. I thought, man, we could still be cool when we grow up. And that was quite a revelation. And then the other thing I remember is remember tons of things, but there was a movie called Delta Force back in 1986, and it just looked super cool to me, because I was getting into my, Soldier of Fortune phase and all, and I'd just seen The Wild Geese, starring Richard Burton and Roger Moore, and I was just like, oh man, that's so cool. So when Delta Force comes out, which has Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin, I think, I was like, oh, that's going to be so cool. So I'm in the hospital getting my tonsils out, and I'm talking to Andy on the phone from my hospital bed, and I heard, his mom and dad come in from their date night, and that was something else that was always inspiring about them, is they had date nights. I'm going to have one tonight with Alicia. But she's like, oh yeah, how's the movie? She's like, oh man, it was incredible. And I was like, oh, what'd your mom and dad go see? He said Delta Force. I was like, your mom went to see Delta Force? And on top of that, she thought it was incredible? It's like, man, this lady's too cool. So there you go. There's many more memories, but those are the ones that popped into my head today. Love you, Lolita. Ma Keller, as I like to call her. That was another thing. I could never call her Miss Keller. And I couldn't really call her Lolita. Well, I could, but it just didn't feel respectful, so I just kind of called her Ma Keller. Ma and Pa Keller. All right, mwah. Hope you have a happy birthday. Meow!